Hello friends, how you doing today? Welcome to an episode of How to Stop Struggling Eventually. Today I just want to go over some tips and some things that I do to try to lower my heating bill. We just had that snow apocalypse of 2025 and the temperatures were real low. There was a lot of snow and people spent a lot of time inside. And so people are going to be surprised when they see those heating bills, probably because we have a tendency as a society to spend too much on gift giving during the month of December. And so what can we do? Well, here's some of the things that I have been doing and I'm going to continue to do during these cold winter months. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dress appropriately. I'm going to wear a cap. I like to call these beanies. I wear a cap. I make sure that I have thermal underwear on, the pants and the long sleeve shirt, and you always wear a t-shirt over that. Then I wear my regular long sleeve shirt over that, and then I'm wearing a sweater. You know, I got my thick socks on. I have some house shoes on. Whatever it takes just to be comfortable and warm on the inside. And so dressing appropriately is pretty important. Another thing that you can do is lower the temperature of your thermostat. One, if you're not in your house, then you can lower your temperature pretty considerably and not feel the effects, right? You don't want to turn it off completely or risk your water pipes freezing, or if you have young ones in the house, right, you don't want to make them suffer. They can't thermoregulate much like we can as adults. But I had an apartment where the lease said during the winter months, do not set the temperature lower than 55 degrees because they didn't want the pipes bursting. Could you survive with 55 degree setting inside of your house? Yeah, that's pretty low, but what about 60? A lot of people put it at 70 or 75 when it's really, really cold, and they're going to be paying for it. So just think about what kind of settings can you set your thermostat on, whether you put it on a timer or what you're actually comfortable with. I'm going to be looking at the notes that I wrote up before this. Make sure I don't miss anything. So one thing you can do, and I did an experiment in this, and I've mentioned in a previous video, is I lowered the the temperature setting of my hot water heater. The way hot water heaters work is they make sure that water stays at a certain temperature all the time, and so it stays hot. If you lower the temperature a little bit, then it's not going to be kicking on so much because it's able to maintain that certain temperature. I've been to some places where the hot water was so hot you had to use a whole lot of cold just to cool off that super hot water. And so maybe you just have to use a little bit less cold water when you mix it in with your hot to get that ideal temperature. So just look at those settings and research that and see what you can do. I saved a significant amount of money on a gas water heater doing that a few years back. And so I make sure to always have my settings down reasonably low. I still do like my hot showers, don't get me wrong. But if you need them, you can always just turn it right back up again and take your hot shower, and later just turn it right back down. Looking at my notes over here, we talked about keeping your thermostat low. Another thing you do is you can reverse the fan direction. It's going to look to check. Yeah, it's counterclockwise in the winter, so you don't feel that wind chill effect. In the summertime, you want that wind blowing down on you so you get that feeling of cooling. But in the wintertime, I want that air circulating because my ceilings are like 12 or 14 feet tall in my apartment. And I want all that warm air to be able to be brought back down so I can heat up the whole room. Another thing you can do is you can, it's kind of off camera over here, but I've set up a warm room. I'm in my living room right now, and so I put a old tapestry over the doorway that I would enter into the kitchen. And I have a room on this side of the camera that I'm not using, so I have that door shut. So close the rooms to the doors, or excuse me, close the doors to the rooms that you're not using. develop a warm space. Most everybody, they're congregating in the living room watching TV, sitting on the couch and being comfortable anyway. And so then when you do that, you can use a space heater. You don't have to heat up the whole house. You can just have and maintain a warm room. And so that's something I like to do. I have a little heat gun here, little thermometer. Pew, pew, pew. I wonder if that'll pick up. So I went around and I did a little bit of an audit to see where my cold air is. I pointed to the floor. I have hardwood floors, and it would be like 50 degrees on the floor. But where I have a area rug, it would be 65 degrees plus. And so if you do have hardwood floors or tile or things like that, you could use an area rug, and that will help insulate the floor a little bit, which is pretty nice. So all your heat's from your feet's not going to the floor. But I'm wearing slippers and house shoes anyway, right? I use this and I check my walls. Like this wall right here, for example, it's brick. And so that brick wall is just sucking heat out of the house. There's not too much that I could do with that, but I also checked my windows and my blinds. You could put up plastic around the windows, and they have little kits like that in Lowe's or whatever big box store you go to. And that helps out pretty significantly. If your blinds are open, so you're seeing out and they're like totally flat, that's going to be real cold too, because that cold air from the window. When I used this and I tested it when that was open, when it was closed, I was getting a 15-20 degree difference. So just closing the blinds was able to keep heat in. And on that same topic, you can also just put up a sheet. You can put up a curtain. You can purchase thermal drapes to put over your windows, and that's very significant. And when I tested that, because I have some old curtains that I just completely blocked the windows off to a bedroom, all the bedrooms actually, and it kept it 20 degrees warmer, even warmer than what it was with just the blinds only. So that was another important tip. Get some thermal curtains and put them up. You don't have to spend money to do these things. You probably have a lot of this stuff up. I mean, if you're in a dire situation, you probably could even use cardboard, right? But that's probably a fire hazard. Let me look at my notes here. Another thing a lot of people probably have on their to-do list for the new year is to get in shape. Be active. Work up a sweat. Like, you won't have to actually heat the house anyway if you're already too hot anyway. So just get in shape, be active, do some things, clean your house. Everybody probably could use organizing, cleaning, and kind of find all the nooks and crannies, and maybe even find a couple of things to sell on Marketplace to help pay for that heating bill, right? But just be active. That's the idea. Get your blood pumping and moving. Generate some of your own body heat. There's always things such as cook more often, right? Bake your food. Like most people just go out to eat anyway. Eating warm soups, drinking some hot beverages. And that helps warm you up too, right? Because you're literally ingesting warm things. I mentioned putting rugs on the floor. Putting lots of layers on your bed. Right? Layers and layers on your bed, big heavy blankets. But this tip that I want to share with you was like a big game changer, and I saved a lot of money doing this. I mentioned this before, but I used to have this apartment, and it was in a 120-year-old building. It was a beautiful building, but they had recently taken the broilers out of the building, and they put individual furnaces in all the apartments. So like the building was designed and built over 100 years ago to have a broiler system. And so there'd be a broiler in the basement, and it would pump hot water through the heaters, and the whole house was getting built. And I'd been in there in that building before they did the switch, and it was pretty warm and toasty. Loved it. But when they did that switch over, it was inefficient. It didn't work. There were just problems. I could turn on the heater and it literally would not bring the temperature of the house up. Hot air would be coming out of the vents and everything, but it was completely ineffective. It was so bad that frost was developing on the inside of the windows and doors, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And so the solution that we did for that is I bought an electric blanket. It was a 100-watt electric blanket, and I put it at the bottom of my bed, just right underneath the fitted sheet. And so since heat rises, it kept us warm. It was like 12 settings, went from like 0 to 12. I put it on 1. We were toasty and warm, and it was almost a little bit too warm back then. So I highly recommend getting a heating blanket because you can save considerable amounts of money because you're not going to feel cold. And you got to watch out because you don't want to do that with little kids. They can't thermoregulate and all that good stuff. So let's see what other kind of things that I set up here. I think that's about it, guys. Like, there's a lot of things you can do to stay warm. And do you have any tips that I didn't mention? Put them in the comment section below. And if you like this kind of video, like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, position yourself today in a way that you'll be stronger tomorrow. Take care. Bye.